What if pain isn't the problem, but actually the pathway back to you? You're listening to The Leadership Wound, From Pain to Permission. I'm Amanda Rohr, your host and founder of Authentically You, coaching for embodied spiritual living and leading. This is where we get honest about the real cost of leadership, the burnout, the pretending, the rejection, and the return to your authentic self. Because this isn't about performance, it's about permission. Welcome to the leader you've always been. John Mark Comer writes in Practicing the Way, mystics are those who aren't content to read books or hear sermons about the glorious reality. They want to experience it and be transformed by it into people of love. That's the heart of embodiment. Not just knowing the truth, but actually experiencing it. Not just believing that we already have everything we need, but actually living like we do. Welcome back to The Leadership Wound. I'm Amanda Rohr, your host for today's conversation, where we talk about the hidden cost of leadership, the moments that stretch us, shape us, and invite us back into a more authentic way of living and leading. We're continuing in our series, Everything I Need is Already Here, living the I Already Have principle. And so far, we've explored the first two rhythms, pause and return. Today, we move into the third rhythm, embody, leading from sufficiency. This is where truth begins to take root in our daily lives in embodied ways, where what we believe starts to shape how we live, love, and lead. If pause helps us to remember and return actually brings us back to what's real, then embody is about becoming. Then embody is about bringing it to life. This is where belief turns into being, where faith stops living in our heads and begins to shape our daily lives. John Mark Comer writes in Practicing the Way, mystics are those who aren't content to read books or hear sermons about the glorious reality. They want to experience it and be transformed by it into people of love. That's the heart of embodiment. Not just knowing the truth, but actually experiencing it. Not just believing that we already have everything we need, but actually living like we do. Comer goes on to say, all those who have been baptized are immersed in the Trinitarian community of Father and Son and Holy Spirit. Saturated in God. Your life is now hidden with Christ. That's not abstract theology. That's present reality. It means we're already immersed, already held, already whole. But sometimes we forget this. We move through our days as if love, peace, clarity are all things we have to earn or find, instead of gifts already woven into who we are in Christ. To embody the I already have principle is to stop searching for what's missing and start expressing what's already true. It's to lead from sufficiency and abundance instead of scarcity, from fullness instead of fear. Neuroscience has a beautiful way of confirming what faith has always known, and that is your body listens to what your mind believes. When you think a thought long enough, whether it's rooted in fear or truth, your body begins to follow. You begin to embody that thought. Your heart rate, your breath, your tone, your posture, they all begin to align with the story you're telling yourself, even if it's done in the negative way. When you begin to act, speak, and lead from the belief that you already have everything you need, though, you can create new neural pathways that reinforce that truth. You're literally training your brain and your body to live from peace instead of pressure or stress. This is how transformation becomes visible And this is why Paul in Philippians 4 said, I have learned to be content whatever the circumstance. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. He wasn't operating out of willpower. He didn't just believe in contentment, he embodied it. As leaders, we teach most powerfully, not through what we say, but through who we are, how we're showing up in the world. People don't follow certainty, they follow congruence, letting what we say match how we live. To embody sufficiency is to live with an inner steadiness that says, I have nothing to prove and nothing to protect. It's leading from presence instead of performance, from overflow instead of depletion. And this is where Comer's words resonate so deeply. It's here, looking at God, God looking at us in love, that we are most free, content, at rest, at ease, grateful, joy-filled, and alive, he says. That's embodiment. It's not about striving to become something new. It's about being aware of who we already are. If pause was about stepping into the river's edge, like we said in the other episode, and return is about stepping back into the current, then embody is about learning to live in the flow of the river. It's the difference between visiting peace at the banks of the river and actually inhabiting it, actually stepping into it and allowing yourself to experience it. It's the difference between glimpsing joy and living in the rhythm of it. When you live in the flow of God's presence, you stop trying to control the current. You stop trying to control the things around you, and you begin to trust the process that God has you in. You move, speak, and lead from that steady stream of love, of sufficiency and abundance that's been carrying you all along. The flow of the river doesn't start when you step in it. It's been flowing the whole time. You just finally decided to live into it, to step into it, to embody it. Here's a simple way to bring embodiment into your day-to-day life. Breathing is essential, and yet we often don't take time to actually recognize what we're doing. So the first step is begin with a deep breath. Maybe when you wake, take 3 deep breaths and whisper this truth over you. Everything I need is already here. Everything I need is already here. Everything I need is already here. Feel your body soften into that truth. Don't let it just be something in your head, but let it flow down into the middle of your body, down to the tips of your toes, to the top of your head. The second is to lead from love. No matter what you do throughout your day, maybe it's before a meeting, maybe it's a decision you need to make, or maybe it's a conversation with another person. Lead from love. Ask yourself, what would it look like to lead from sufficiency, from abundance right now as I enter into that meeting, as I enter into a decision process, as I enter into a conversation with another? What would it look like to lead from sufficiency? And lastly, end with gratitude. I've been making it a practice to actually write in my journal all the things I'm grateful for. Becoming aware of all that I am grateful for and then actually writing it down on paper has been immensely helpful for me to realize the abundance that I already live from. So before bed, reflect on where you felt peace flowing freely today and where you stepped out of the river and peace subsided. Offer both to God. The times when you felt like you were in abundance and the times when you noticed you were not. Ironically, it wasn't that you weren't in abundance, it was that you stepped out of it. It's not God who moves, it's us. This practice of beginning with a breath and repeating that phrase, Leading from love and ending with gratitude is a practice that could help you embody this principle of I already have enough, of I already have everything I need. It's how we can train our minds, our hearts, and our bodies to live what is true. Spend time with these questions. Where in your life are you still leading as if something is missing? What would change if you began leading from sufficiency and abundance instead of striving or proving? And what does it mean for you to live in the flow of God's love in this current season? John Mark Comer says, so many Christians have no idea of the staggering immensity of God's love for them and of that love's power to transform them into people of love. To embody the I already have principle is to finally believe that truth, not as a statement to repeat, but as a reality to live from. God's love is immense. Therefore, as I continue to embody that, I become a person who is loving and who treats people with love. Because love isn't something we study, it's something that we participate in. And as we experience that love, really experience it, we begin to embody it. And when we live from the reality of God's love, everything begins to take on a different rhythm. We stop striving for approval and we start leading from peace. We stop chasing after outcomes and trying to control things, and we start paying attention to the presence of God already here in the situation. And we begin to move through our day differently, slower, steadier, more awake and present to what is actually going on. This is what embodiment looks like. It's like sitting across from a family member and choosing connection instead of trying to control them. It's walking into a hard meeting and carrying peace, the non-anxious presence that doesn't depend on how people react or the outcome of the situation. It's like leading a team not from your ego or urgency, but from empathy, from the deep center inside that knows I already have all that I need. I don't need them to do this or that for me to be okay, for the situation to be okay. And all of this, it's not forced, it's not performative. It's the kind of love that quietly transforms everything it touches, starting with you. When you live from sufficiency, you stop taking on everyone else's anxiety as your responsibility. You stop confusing control with care. And you start bringing calm into the room instead of absorbing the chaos of what's going on. And all of that changes things. It changes things in your home, in your workplace, in your community, because embodied love, embodying the principle of I already have everything I need, it's contagious. John Mark Comer also writes, it's here, looking at God, God looking at us, in love, that we are most free, that we are content, at rest, at ease, grateful, joy-filled, and alive. That's what it looks like to be embodied, to embody the reality of Christ in us, to look back at the one who is already looking at us, gazing at us, and living from the gaze of love. When you do that, love starts to show up in the way you speak, the way you listen, the way you lead. It spills into how you set boundaries and how you extend grace to others. It weaves through how you rest, how you work, how you show up with things that are uncertain. This is the heart of embodiment. Not a life without pressure, but a life where peace becomes louder than the voices around you, because you already have everything that you need. And when you live from that truth, you don't just lead differently, you live differently, you love differently. You become the evidence of what love can do when it's experienced, not just talked about. Thanks for joining me in this episode of The Leadership Wound. If you're ready to start living and leading from abundance, to stop striving and start embodying the truth of who you are, I encourage you to book your free 30-minute call and start a conversation with me about how you can live and lead authentically. You can also download my free morning meditation, part of the Authentic Leadership Starter Kit, at authenticleadershipcollective.com. It's a guided practice to help you begin each day grounded in the truth that everything you need is already here. Because the invitation isn't to reach for more. It's not to look for something external outside of yourself. It's to return, to embody, and to flow with what's already yours. Until next time, stay grounded, stay present, and lead like you.